Solana has been the black sheep in all of crypto in the last weeks. It underperformed most other cryptocurrencies. It did worse than Bitcoin, worse than Ethereum, worse than most other altcoins. The question is, can this potentially turn around? What's causing the recent underperformance, and might this potentially stop? Because the fundamental idea of crypto is, of course, to buy low and sell high. We don't want to buy when everybody gets excited about an asset. We want to buy when everything looks rather bleak but has the chance to turn around. Now, what we see over here is the total value locked across all chains across crypto. So how much capital is currently in decentralized finance? And this chart starts in 2019. We had a peak in November of 2021. That was DeFi summer. Then we had our massive collapse where first Terra Luna went belly up and then FTX followed. And then the turnaround starting in October of 2023. But still, the total value locked is not yet higher compared to where it was in 2021. We have not yet fully recovered. But again, this is for all chains across all of crypto. Here is the same chart for Solana. And this is now the Solana total value locked target in US dollars. And this did hit a new all-time high after the peak of 2021. So Solana saw more adoption in the last year than it saw during DeFi summer. And it's not that far away from the all-time high. This is now measured in US dollars. Here's the same chart measured in Solana. So we've got a bit less of volatility. We see quite constant adoption. And this should rather make us bullish, right? The trend looks relatively stable. But the dynamics in crypto have changed. What we see over here is how much capital is in different chains. So we see the dominance of decentralized finance across the different chains. Now in blue is Ethereum, and Ethereum has gained quite a bit of traction recently. It's at close to 60% of total value locked across all chains. Solana is at number 2, but it's far behind. It's only at 7%. There is a good reason for the recent outperformance of Ethereum, and that's inflows through Wall Street. So Bitcoin and Ethereum have major ETFs on Wall Street in the US, mainly by BlackRock. That's the market leader. And it's all kinds of investors that buy into that ETF constantly and thus supporting the prices. Have a look at the Ethereum ETF flows in the last months. Especially in the last weeks, this accelerated massively. Every day, there's several hundred millions of dollars that flow into Ethereum through the ETF. There are only very few days where we see actually net outflows. Wall Street is a net buyer the vast majority of the time. And that's then how the balance develops over time, right? This is how many Ethereum are held through the ETFs. This is accelerating further and further, and there is no reason to believe that this will suddenly turn around. And so that then explains why the total value locked on Ethereum increased much faster than for Solana in the last month. Ethereum didn't just outperform Solana's total value locked growth, it outperformed pretty much any other major chain. Now, why am I even making those comparisons? Why don't I just look at the US dollar chart and look at who's buying and who's selling? The reason is I look in terms of opportunity cost. When I have crypto exposure, I want to be mainly exposed towards the asset that tends to outperform. And yes, there can be a bit of diversification, but in general, we should always be allocated more towards the asset that has most potential. And so what we see over here is Solana relative to Ethereum. There was a massive crash when Terra Luna imploded and FTX followed. This here was the FTX collapse. And then we saw the turnaround, which accelerated in October of 2023. And it was mainly fueled by meme coin trading, by the pump.fun ecosystem. But recently, as there are more and more inflows into Ethereum, Solana tends to underperform Ethereum. The technical bottom that we see over here has been broken, and we're likely going to continue to go down. The question though is there potentially an opportunity to buy some bottoms along the way? Because those intermediate rallies are still quite significant. This is a 64% increase. Within the entire crypto space, Solana seems to be comparatively cheap. Ethereum has an unfair advantage, right? It has all those inflows that are currently very strong. But if you regard Solana as just another altcoin, The potential risk isn't really that high. It's mainly 9% versus the potential reward, which can be 45, maybe even 55%. And so there are two major capital flows that matter. There are the flows from traditional finance into crypto, and from crypto into traditional finance, and there are the flows within crypto, right? What's currently most trendy within crypto? Where do most people bet their money on? Now, one of the relevant flows within crypto is what's happening between the larger and the smaller altcoins. So how is capital flowing between Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana and these small altcoins? Because there are regular shifts happening every now and then. Since there's so much money flowing into Ethereum, Ethereum is now outperforming most other altcoins. This is the Ethereum market cap versus the others market cap. Others meaning all cryptocurrencies that are not in the top 10. And I expect this to continue to outperform again because Wall Street is buying Ethereum and not so much the smaller altcoins. The problem though is that Ethereum has already outperformed the small altcoins recently by 78%. And maybe there isn't that much more upside potential. Who knows whether or not we're going to break this resistance here. But for Solana, relative to the smaller altcoins, the market doesn't seem to be as heated. Solana hasn't yet seen the inflows from traditional finance, and so there might be more upside potential. Really, the main question is, how long will it take until Wall Street starts buying Solana? How long will it take until the BlackRock ETF gets approved? Because the current ETF in Canada doesn't really matter much. There is this headwind, right? This is the number of deployed transactions on the Pump.Fun ecosystem. Pump.Fun, so the launchpad of meme coins on Solana, was what generated all this excitement around the Solana chain. This peaked though at the beginning of this year and is since then shrinking. But Solana in the process did indeed turn into a meme coin chain. Pretty much everything, all the transactions are meme coins. The most liquid token on the Solana chain is Fartcoin, which was launched on Pump.Fun. It has got liquidity of 21 million, and that's followed by the Pump token. So that's the native token of the Pump.Fun ecosystem. Aura is a meme coin as well, so is Vine, so is Useless and Troll, etc. It's all just meme coins, and meme coins are dominated by retail trading, by the demand of Larry Fink and the like. Pump.Fun helped Solana a lot. This is the number of monthly transactions on Solana, and in green we see Pump.Fun, in black we see everything that's not Pump.Fun. Now what's noteworthy is that even the number of transactions that are not Pump.Fun continue to go up on Solana. So Solana as a whole is not necessarily shrinking. Pump.Fun itself is shrinking. But even if we ignore Pump.Fun, we still see growth. Here's the stablecoin market cap on Solana. It's not going down, at least not quickly. The capital that's on the chain stays on the chain. Here's the number of active addresses on Solana. While it might go down in the last few months, year over year, we continue to see growth. So maybe it's all just a matter of being patient. Maybe it's all just a matter of zooming out, of having a longer time horizon. Maybe it's all just a matter of waiting for the Wall Street demand, of waiting for the Solana ETF. There is this newly launched decentralized exchange, right? PumpSwap. And this did rally quite a bit. But of course, not all of that is natural demand, right? A lot of this is also artificial bot trading, hoping to generate some attention. So don't have too much hope because of that increase. Once we remove that, we get a more realistic picture of what's actually happening on the Solana chain. But still, when we look at all chains and we look at how many new tokens get issued, Solana is dominating that market segment. Ethereum currently has a huge advantage. It's got all of those inflows through the ETFs. And so does Bitcoin. Bitcoin sees constant Wall Street demand. It's not as quick as what's happening for Ethereum, but still it's constant demand. And Ethereum, on top of the ETFs, also has the Bitcoin treasury companies that are almost as important as the ETFs. Solana has nothing of that sort. At least that's worth mentioning. But the picture changes over time. In 12 months from now, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Wall Street buying heavily into SOL as well. And at that point, we might actually start seeing retail coming back in again, because many of the tokens on Solana are directly coupled with the Solana token. So when SOL is going up by 10, 20, 30%, then automatically through the coupling in liquidity pools, many altcoins on the chain also go up to the same degree. And this might generate some excitement as well. And so short term, I'm not too bullish on Solana. We still continue to see way more inflows into Ethereum Ethereum, then into Solana, and retail will not be able to turn this around. But once the rumors spread that a Solana ETF approval is imminent, this will stabilize. And that's the perfect time to buy. Because Wall Street adoption can take time. It took several months for the case of Ethereum. It might be a bit faster for Solana, but still, we probably have plenty of time to buy into Solana with the ETF approval. On the day of the approval, we will get a bit of a price bump, but that's okay. We can just ride the wave as money flows in. I expect a very similar chart for Solana as we now have for Ethereum. And so, in a way, it seems like Wall Street is going through the same kind of cycle that retail did in the past. In the past, retail bought the Bitcoin bottom during a bear market, then held Bitcoin as it rose, and then cycled into more and more risky coins as the price went up, right? Bitcoin appreciated first, then Ethereum outperformed, then Solana, then all of these smaller altcoins. Maybe something similar is happening this time again. We already see the rotation from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and at some point it's Solana's turn as well. That's at least how I play this. I'm not buying right now. I do believe that Ethereum is the better bet at the moment, but I will purchase as soon as we've got serious rumors around a Solana ETF approval in the US. The general problem with crypto as a whole is that there's more and more token emissions. So a lot of projects launch and the founders want to pay themselves. The early investors, the venture capitalists want to pay themselves. Maybe there was also some marketing expenses. So some YouTubers might get an allocation and then sell the token. And the retail investors have to support all of that selling for the prices to stay stable. This here is the weekly token emissions of the entire altcoin market that's tracked on this website, Tokenomics.ai. And it's pretty much above $600 or at least $500 million every single week. If the inflows into crypto are slower than that, then the altcoins have to go down, at least relatively speaking. For example, have a look at this here. This is the DeFi protocol 1inch. So it's a decentralized exchange aggregator. It got a lot of usage in the past. But the problem is that the circulating supply grew massively as well, right? From 100 million to now 1.4 billion. And that then leads to 1inch doing much worse than Bitcoin or Ethereum. This is 1inch relative to Ethereum. Have a look at this. This is Optimism, right? A leading layer 2 scaling solution on top of Ethereum. It started out with 214 million tokens and it's now at 1.6 billion tokens. And that's the long-term chart relative to Ethereum. And so there are several consequences from this, right? We cannot afford to own a lot of different altcoins because the vast majority of altcoins underperforms Bitcoin and Ethereum most of the time because of that token inflation. But also picking a single winner here and there is very hard because, again, most tokens do worse. So it's like picking the needle in a haystack. Some people simply just stick with Bitcoin, Ethereum and Solana then and forget the rest of the altcoin market. But I actually think there's an opportunity here because if we have constant underperformance, we can bet on that. We can bet on the underperformance to continue and make money from that. So instead of getting this performance by buying 1inch, we flip this around. We bet on falling prices of 1inch and bet on rising prices of Ethereum at the same time. So this is the same chart, just flipped. And this is simply using decentralized finance to do exactly that setup. We are betting on Ethereum to outperform 1inch. Same here for Optimism, right? Instead of buying Optimism, we are just betting on falling prices of Optimism relative to Ethereum. So in the last year, that position performed 150% roughly. Now try to make 150% in a year just by plain simply buying an altcoin. It's much easier said than done. Yes, there are some outliers. There is this Arrowbot and this DRGN and this SNSY token, but the vast majority of altcoins is just going down. And so instead of trying to find the next Arrowbot, I think it's better to just flip this around and everything that's red becomes green and everything that's green becomes red. So then we've got the odds in our favor. We don't try to pick the needle in the haystack. Instead, we bet on the haystack, on the vast majority to do poorly. And again, there is a fundamental reason for that underperformance, right? It's all of those insiders selling all the time. The venture capitalists, the team, etc. Maybe even the users of the platform that get incentivized in tokens to use the platform. Have a look at the altcoin market cap relative to Bitcoin in the last 3.5 years. It underperformed by 75%. And if we flip that around, we've got an outperformance of almost 300%. So this is now Bitcoin divided by the altcoin market cap. I'm following this strategy already for quite a while. What we see over here is my portfolio performance in the last 4 years roughly relative to had I just dollar cost average into Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin dollar cost averaging is in gray and my portfolio line is that one in black. This is monthly data out of my personal Excel sheet. We're now at month 44. I did this mainly with borrowing and lending platforms like Aave and Venus Finance, but recently I changed to perpetual futures, and this is even more productive. I started the test 2.5 months ago with 40k, and that turned into 60k, again, just in 2.5 months. And so the premium members of this channel asked me, is there maybe a way we can just provide some capital to you and you do those relative valuation trades for us? And so I opened just that. It started 6 days ago, so there's no real sample size yet, but so far it has made 3.5%. I'm happy if we do 10% per month. I don't think we'll make 50% in 2.5 months again. But in general, we are moving in the right direction. And again, it makes a lot of sense, right? Most altcoins do worse than Bitcoin or Ethereum. We don't really have to be that scientific about it. If you want to learn how to become a winner in crypto and how to set up those relative valuation trades, where then the VCs and the insiders don't dump on you, but you're actually making money when they are dumping, then feel free to check out all of those tutorial videos, right? There's more than 100 tutorial videos in premium. I'm of course sharing my own trades as well, and then you can simply copy trade and take advantage of those trades as well. There are many opportunities out there, so feel free to check out the community as well. And so if you're an active trader, you can simply sign up for the monthly membership. It's $125 per month. You can watch all the tutorials, you can copy trade me as well. And once you're joining, I will also share my favorite trade. And if that favorite trade doesn't make you money in the first month, I will refund you 100% of that membership fee. So really, you don't really have a risk of joining here. You're either making your money back or it's for free for you. If you are not an active trader though, and you simply just want to allocate capital, you've got more capital than time, then you can sign up for the annual membership. Here you also get 2 months for free, so $250. And with the annual membership, you also get access to the automated copy trading feature, where you can simply just send money to Hyperliquid. So that's the platform that I'm using. And you get the exact same trading performance that I'm getting as well. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in premium. Cheers.